tonight's story is about a president and a mistress, but it's not the one you're thinking about. A little backstory, Andrew Jackson was married to Rachel. Well, he thought he was married to her. She was married to this abusive guy, but she sent him divorce papers. But then she'd been married to Andrew for 2 years when they found out that the guy never got the divorce papers. He'd never signed them. So she had been living in sin with Andrew for 2 years. They immediately freak out about that and try to renew their vows, but the damage and gossip is done. He was obsessed with her. She was the love of his life. He couldn't get enough of her. He would fight anybody that tried to talk any kind of shit about her. And when she passed away, he became a hopeless romantic, and this is how he got into this whole ordeal. John Eaton was Andrew's best friend, and he was the Secretary of War, which now is the Secretary of Defense. And he had met this girl, Margaret, that went by Peggy, but she was married. Peggy's dad owned an inn, and she worked there, and John would go and stay there. But where she was married, you know, he would just go on walks with her, and they were just friends. So what if Peggy's husband was out at sea all the time? Well, Peggy's husband ends up dying while he's at sea. So John tells Andrew, like, hey, I love her. I want to get married, like, do all this stuff. But she's supposed to be in mourning for a year. And Andrew's like, life is short. Do what you want. Who cares what other people say? I feel like we're going to catch a lot of hell for this. Nah, it'll be fine. Go ahead, do it. Well, if you think it's okay, yeah, I guess I'll marry her. Everybody was like, no, scandalous. Get her away from me. I'm not talking to her. She didn't wait the whole year. So, trash is the way they viewed her. They would see her coming and cross the street so that they didn't have to walk beside her. And I know right now you're probably thinking, oh no, poor Peggy. Just wait. So John goes to Andrew and he's like, I told you I should have waited. Now everybody is pissed off at us and she's giving me all kinds of hell about it at home. Yeah, my bad. I did not expect it to go this way. I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't fix it. Now what am I supposed to do? Don't worry about it. I'm going to send you to Franklin, Tennessee. You can go there, lay low. People will forget about it. It'll be fine. So they go there. Everything's going great until John dies. John passes away, but he leaves Peggy all of this money, okay? So Peggy's like, yes, I've got all this money. I can do what I want. Their kids marry well, and she's living the best life until Peggy is 59, and she starts dating her granddaughter's dance teacher from Italy. He is 19. She marries this 19-year-old dance teacher who her granddaughter was in love with. But the granddaughter's like, it's okay. You do what you got to do. Because 5 years later, the dance teacher steals all the money and runs away with the granddaughter and leaves her to finish out her days in a home for destitute women. Now she haunts Franklin. This woman will not quit. Want to hear a story about how a man in Wyoming who was a criminal that was turned into a pair of shoes? Yeah, I said shoes. And then the man that wore those shoes are connected to a full body apparition that I saw in the attic of a haunted museum in Princeton, Kentucky. I'm about to tell you. If you're new here, I grew up in a haunted house. I see ghosts all the time. My whole channel's about ghosts. Now back to the story. This is George Parrott. I know I'm probably not saying Parrott correctly because he was a Frenchman, but I can't find the proper way to say it, so we're just going to call him George Parrott. He was also known as Big Nose George and Big Beak Parrott because of his nose. You're probably thinking that's a pretty mean thing to call someone, but he was a bad guy, like a really bad guy. So him and his buddy had committed all these crimes and they went over to another state. And they were in this bar and they were one night with a bunch of the locals, they thought, and they admitted to unaliving 2 police officers back in Rawlins. Well, the people that they were drinking with happened to be law enforcement. Way to go, Big Nose. So they sent them back to Rawlins to be tried. When they get there, they're convicted, so they're sentenced to hang. He's supposed to hang, his buddy's supposed to hang, but they put them in 2 completely different jails. So George is in his cell, and he's like, I think I could get out of here. Like, I think if I just, cut some things and sawed some shit off and did this, I think I could squeeze out of here. And he does. And he's like halfway out when the jailer comes in and he's like, what in the hell are you doing? Oh, stop it. Wife, help. So the wife comes in, like, pew, 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 convinces George to get back in his jail cell. The town folks find out about it. They're pissed. They come the next night while the jailer's laying up trying to recover and snatch him out of the jail, take him outside, over a tree, and you would think that would be the end of George, but it's not. So now what are they going to do with the remains? So 2 doctors step forth and that's Thomas McGee and John Osborne. John Osborne, that's the one you need to remember. They're like, we'll take him. There's tons of stuff we can do. We want to see how his brain works and why he was the way he was. The first thing they do is they remove this. Then they give that part to Thomas McGee's assistant, who is 16 years old. Her name is Lillian Heath. Lillian goes on to become the first female doctor in Wyoming. She kept that. She kept that part they gave her. Then they took this, and they took this, and sent it off and had shoes made out of it. And John Osborne, the one I told you to remember, is like, hey, I want those shoes. Can I take them? I want them. He not only takes them, he wears them when he becomes governor of Wyoming. He wore them to his inauguration. Then the rest of it was put into a whiskey barrel, and then they said they disposed of it. End of story, right? No. Fast forward now to May 11th, 1950, and they're working on reconstructing the National Bank, and construction workers find this whiskey barrel that's filled with like bones and half of this in it, and then it had shoes and a random bottle of vegetable compound. They knew the legend of everything that had happened, and they're like, surely this isn't who we think it is, right? Like, how are we supposed to find out? Remember, this is like 1950s. So they contact Lillian Heath. Remember her? She was the assistant to Dr. McGee, and they ask her, like, hey, do you have what they gave you? Yeah, I've used it as an ashtray and everything else, but like right now, I'm using it as a door stopper. She was really doing that. Let me go get it, and then I'll send it to you guys. They get it, and they're like, it's a perfect fit. So they figure out that's who it is, right? So they kept the shoes, and the shoes are in, did you guys see that orb? They kept the shoes, and the shoes are in a museum in Rawlins today. You can go see them. Here's what they look like. Gross. But anyway, remember John Osborne, the guy that wore the shoes? He married Selena Smith. Selena was the daughter of the family that owned Adsmore Museum, where I worked in Princeton, Kentucky, and I saw her full body apparition in the attic. Do you guys want to hear that story? I already know none of you are going to believe what I'm about to tell you, but I promise it's true. This happened like 15 years ago. I know it's going to sound like BS, but I saw a werewolf. I know, it sounds like I'm making it up. But if I didn't see it myself, I wouldn't believe it either. But let me tell you what happened. So I'm driving home. I got the kids in the car with me, and I'm in a van. Ugh, I know, that sounds like the scary part, but it's not. But I'm in a van, and I drive past this one part of the road that has like this cliff thing on the right side. And out of nowhere, something jumps off that cliff that I've been told is like 20 feet high. I cannot judge height, but I've been told it was 20 feet high, and lands like this. The classic superhero pose, which, by the way, is also how squirrels land. See, squirrels land like that too. So he landed like a squirrel, but he was huge. So he lands right in the middle of the road, turns, looks at me, stands up, then runs. And he looked like this. Just kidding. He really looked like this. Now, this is somebody's like fan art, not a real picture, duh. But this is the most accurate that I could find that actually looks like the one I saw. So I immediately call my mom and dad. My dad answers. I tell him I'm like frantic. I'm like, oh my gosh, I just saw like a werewolf. It jumped off the cliff thing. It was like 2 vans tall. I still stand by that. That's how tall it was. So I don't know. I don't know how tall. Like 12 feet or something. It was huge. Huge. So my dad says it was probably a barn owl. They're pretty big. A what? It was not a damn barn owl. Oh my God. This thing scared me to death. Terrified me. Well, I tell the story. Everybody's like, ha, yeah, whatever. So then I don't ever tell anybody again. But in Kentucky, not far from here, Kentucky Lake is known for having werewolves, right? Well, who cares about that? Because I had someone send me a Ring camera photo of what looks like what I saw. This footage was taken on like Native American land. They said they didn't want their name put out there. I don't blame them, because I know all of y'all are going to think I'm crazy because I say I saw a werewolf. But here, let me show you this. Oh, there it is. There's its face. This is like what, like a F-150 or some kind of big truck. But look, you stack it on top, 2 vans. This thing would be 2 vans tall. Look at its face. Do you see the wolf right here? Call me crazy. I don't care. That's what I saw. That's a werewolf. For more videos like this, like, comment, share, follow. Don't be too mean in the comments, but I did see it. Tonight, my husband followed me deep into the woods, but it was not me. Typically, everyone knows do not whistle in the woods, right? Well, my husband whistled in the woods today, and let me tell you what happened. We went looking for the cemetery that I found the other day with my cousins, and we were going to do like a session out there with the REM pod and use a metal detector and just see what all we could find. I set up my actual vlogging camera and was using my phone to record some things, and Jason was walking around the area using the metal detector, and then that's when he wandered off a little bit. I decided to just use my vlogging camera and then switch my phone to the Spirit Talker and see if I could get anything, because I was only getting a little bit with the REM pod, but it started talking a lot. Here's some of the things that it said. So I started off by just asking it like what had happened out there, things like that. So it was saying so much heartache, and then shall I do something? And then I asked who was talking to me, and it said Colin. I said, are you young or old? It told me that it was old. And then out of nowhere it says go further. So I'm confused, and I say, do you want me to go further to the right or to the left? And then it told me that we were family. So I'm like, okay, because I knew that my family had owned the land for like 123 years, 24 years. And then it said avoid Patricia, right? Which didn't really make any sense, so I was confused, but now I know who Patricia is. When Jason first wandered off, I heard him whistle, and I'm like, oh my God, why would he whistle? And then I'm like, maybe that wasn't him, maybe it's just a whistle I heard. Go about my business, I don't worry about it. Well, about 30 minutes goes by, and Jason comes back. I hear like the lock on the truck sound from like far off. Jason had left his phone at home, so it was just him and the metal detector out in the woods. He comes up, and normally he does not get like shaken or frazzled about anything, but I could tell that he was like visibly like disturbed. That's when he told me that he heard me turn the REM pod on, so he decided to wander off a little bit. Well, he had turned to the left, and then when he turned back to the right, he saw me walking further into the woods. Now remember, the Spirit Talker said further, go further. So he thought that I just started wandering around, because that's the woods I kind of grew up in. He had never been out there before, not even once. So he starts following me, right? So he follows me, and then I kind of like duck behind a tree, and then he notices that the ground, there's like a big like ravine type thing, and then he sees me. The whole time he said I had a black coat on with my hood up, which I did, and he said that he saw me on the other side of the ravine. So then he thought, okay, something's messing with me, I've got to get back to where she actually is. This isn't her. You could hear the freeway, but he said that it sounded like it was all around him, and he couldn't pinpoint the direction. It's cloudy outside, the sun wasn't out, he couldn't really tell where to go, and remember, he didn't have his phone. So he just decides to walk in one direction, and then he just figures he'll either run into me or run into a house or something. And then he sees me again. It's like I was trying to take him back to where I was originally leading him. So he just ignored me and kept going in the direction that he was going. I had not moved the entire time since we got out there, because I was terrified that if I wandered off just a little bit, I would get completely disoriented and lost because of the thicket. This is what it looked like out there. There's the REM pod, but see how thick the woods are? It was like that, just surround all the way around. The only reason this is a clearing is because this is where the graves are. Stopped recording when Jason walked up, but the Spirit Talker was still going on my phone, and then this is what it said. He comes up and he's kind of out of breath, and it says breath here. That I don't even really want to talk about it anymore, because I don't know what's going on. It's kind of making me nervous. And it said, keep going, as she scares me. Jason said, I don't even know like whose land this is or like what's going on out here. And I was like, it's my grandfather's land. And then he said, this is my land. Like this thing was trying to get us to come deeper into the woods the entire time. So I decided to go live, and after I go live, I got some more pictures, but this video is already 4.5 minutes long, so if you want to know the rest, go to the next story. This is really scary. Let me show you what it looks like in here. Yeah, so this is how dark it is. Oh my gosh, I'm scared like something's gonna show up behind me. I'm so nervous. Creepy old fireplace. Yeah, look at this place. I don't even know what it is because we got here too late for the tour. We'll have to research it, but it's scary here. And I'm in here all by myself. I don't know where the boys went. Yee! Let me show you the outside. Look at this little place. But yeah, it's scary in there. Let's go in here one more time. Okay, I'm out of here. Yesterday, Carter and I went to try to find the graves that's hidden in the woods where I saw that little girl that one time, and we finally did find them, but it is a journey and it's kind of filmed like Blair Witch, so enjoy. He says he knows, but we're back in the woods, so off trail, I don't know. You think it's in this area? They'll be small because they weren't that big. They're like a little oval shape. What's on the rock? But do you see what? Oh, he found it. Yeah. He found it. Yeah, there's
the rock right there.
Does it have anything marked on it?
Markers on it. They might have knocked one of them over.
There was like...
It's got a fingerprint on it too, see?
Oh, yeah.
See?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, see, you can see it. You found another one? Okay, hang on, I'm coming. He's way over there, up there. I kept telling them it was by the number 4 tree, and I was right because there's the number 4, and they're up there. Yeah, there's another one.
That's the reason you don't see a rock like that.
No, it's not just gonna be.
It's not just randomly picking up like that.
Yeah, but then look at all the dips. Dip, 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 dip. Yeah. And then look at that one right there. Yeah. Oh, look, they're everywhere. I wish they showed up on camera better, but there's one, there's one, there's one. Yeah, there's another one. None of them are going to have any writing, though, I don't think.
Yeah, there's another one there.
Another rock or another dip? Oh, yeah, there's the rock. See, I told you. Yay, you found it. You found them all.
There's another rock, look. Yeah, all these dips here.
Yeah, look.
It's right in here. I knew it was right in here.
Yeah, look at the dips.
Look,
yeah.
Dip, dip.
Yeah, oh my gosh, look. Yeah, look. Hang on, let me pan out. It goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ooh, and that one's really like caved in. There's another one. I thought it said something, but it doesn't. They're all just flat rock.
Yeah, that's another one.
There's one right there, too. My head with that.
There's another one there.
What kind of graveyard would have these markers but no authenticator like of who it is?
I don't know. It's crazy. Man, I never even realized what. Look at all these deals.
Yeah, I told you that we came out here and we stood up on that one rock and you could just see them for like ever. Oh, look.
Yep.
Well, we found them. Now we just have to try to find our way out. And it looks like this all the way around. Okay. There was more than I thought. I knew there was a lot, but we actually found way more than I thought. Well, just like a ghost, Timothy came out here, found them, and then left, and now we don't know where he's at, but oh well. I've been sharing a lot of follower stories, but I thought it was time I shared one of mine, so this is a story about the time... There went Miss Pike. So this is a story about the time that I'd already moved out to my new house that I lived in where the Pikes were at, but I would go back to my grandmother's, to my aunts and everything, and play there all of the time. So they had a little setup where it was like house, 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 and then we just had the whole backwoods that my family owned to play in. And like I said, it was the 80s. They didn't care where we went, just as long as we came back at some point. We used to find like Native American, like relic type things back there all the time. Like we would find like the little grinders for the herbs, and then we would find like arrowheads and all kinds of cool stuff like that. I'm pretty sure my grandma probably still has them, or at least my uncle does. There went another orb. So in the woods was this small family plot. It was like a burial ground for someone. No one knew who it was or why they were back there or how long they'd been back there. And you couldn't read what it said on the tombstones anymore at all. It's still back there. There was only like 4 or 5 graves in it, I believe. We had like a 4-wheeler trail that would cut through there, so we would ride the 4-wheeler back through there and not really think anything of it. Well, one day I was riding back there by myself, and there was a little girl back there. Now, this isn't the same little girl that I used to see when I was little. This was like an older girl. I want to say like 12, something like that. She was standing on a rock, and when I drove past, she seemed like startled, like she wasn't expecting to see anyone. And then when I made eye contact with her, she really got scared, and she squatted down. So I stopped the 4-wheeler, and I'm like, hey, who are you? Who are you? My grandmother lives back there. I'm just out here playing around. Do you live around here? I knew no one lived around there that I didn't know. I used to. Oh, did you move? I'm not sure. Do you know where your mom or dad's at? Do you want me to help you find them? Then she looks down to the ground. No, I know where they are. Now, young me, like 10-year-old me, I didn't put 2 and 2 together, but she was with them. Like whoever was buried in that little plot thing, she was with them. That was her mom and dad. We talked for a little bit longer. I didn't really say much to her other than like, oh, okay, well, if you need any help, I can help you or do whatever. And like I said, this was the 80s. People just talked to random people all the time. Well, I know I did. She said, thanks for talking to me. I have to go. And then she kind of just like walked off into the woods. But she was dressed like normal. Like she didn't look ghostly. She didn't look like she was from the 80s either. She just had on like a basic little plain dress. Now thinking about it, it was probably like from the, 20s, 30s. I remember going back and telling my grandmother that I saw a little girl in the woods, and she said, that's nice. That was the end of that. Yesterday, my husband followed a ghost through the woods. He thought it was me. It was not, but I think I may have gotten a photo of the ghost days before. When I was in the woods with my cousins and I was taking photos of all of the graves out there, I just didn't even go back through them because I didn't see anything while I was there. But after Jason saw the ghost, I'm like, let me go back through those photos and look at this. I had a black jacket on yesterday. He said that the ghost looked like me, like it had the jacket on with the hood up, like walking away from him. And then, do you see that in this photo? What about now? Can you see it now? After Jason saw the ghost, I decided to go live in the woods. We had more service out there than we initially thought we would. And during the live, some people took some screenshots, and these are the shots that they sent me. One of my followers sent this in. She circled this. She said that she can see a face here. Can you? Another one sent this in, and she said that she can actually see several in here. I can see like 2. Can you see 2 ghosts in here? Here's this one closer up. You can see like this person appears to be looking at my husband. I don't know who that is. Eyes, nose, mouth, jaw, hair. I don't know. This one's a little harder to see, but I can see one here. A lot of you may say that it's just sticks, but if you hold it from your face, you can tell. But I think this one clearly speaks for itself. Who is that? This is only the beginning because I've got to know who that person is. So if you enjoy things like this and you like spooky stuff, like, comment, share, follow for more because it's only going to get more intense from here. ghost on an EVP? You tell me. Kata and I went out to a cemetery the other night and it was so dark because the town didn't have power and we didn't want to get out of the truck because we were too scared to, so I was recording outside of the window. So when we got home, I'm playing the video back and I can clearly hear somebody say something, but it sounds like it's coming from outside of the truck, and it's like this, I don't know, like electronic type, like let me see is what I hear. But Kata said she doesn't know if that's what she hears or not. She can't really make out what it's saying. So you guys listen to this, tell me what you think it says. Oh my God, that bug just ran and it looked like something went from behind the thing. It scared me to death. Let's do it this way. Oh my God, that bug just ran and it looked like something went from behind the thing. It scared me to death. Let's do it this way. The Tell Me a Scary Story That No One Would Believe stitches that's going around right now, I'm obsessed with all of those, obviously. But my favorite one so far that I've seen, I have to tag her in the comments because I don't know who she is right off the bat. But she said that one night she woke up and it was right after her grandmother had passed away, and there's this woman sitting on her bed, like facing the opposite way as she is, and the cats that were sleeping with her knew that someone was on the bed. So she's looking at this woman. She has like a white nightgown on and then long dark hair, and she's wet. She looked wet for some reason. So she's staring at her, and then the woman stands up. She thinks it's her mom at first, but the woman stands up, and when she stood up, it scared the cats, and the cats scratched her. So she said that's how she knew the next day that it wasn't a dream. Well, anyway, so this woman, this wet looking woman, walks around the foot of the bed and then starts heading towards her. And she said that she could see her, and she's like scary, and like she smiles, but she leans down and gets in her face. And she said this was like at 3 a.m., something like that. And she stared at her until the sun came up, and she just laid there. She laid there, and that woman, they just stared at each other. And she said she could move, but okay, now I know the hag. Everyone knows the story of the hag. I've talked about her before, but she gets on your bed and she'll like hold you down. But I've never heard anybody say that she was wet. And oh my God. So she said as soon as that woman left, she like jumps up and runs to her mom, and her mom's like, oh, I think it might have been my fault because I asked for like a sign or whatever. But I don't know that I could have laid there that long. There's no way. There's no way. That's been my favorite one so far. What's your favorite of all those stitches? So you know that my brother saw the skinwalker right in his front yard, which we think now that it was probably more a rake. I didn't know the difference at first, but we're thinking it was a rake. Well, anyway, that was about a year ago, give or take. It was either the spring or summer, last spring or summer. So he calls me about 2 nights ago, and he's like, hey, so I was just taking the trash out, and guess what happened? I'm like, what happened? You get that feeling that something's just like watching you, like it can see you, but you can't see it. And I'm like, yeah. And he said, well, as I was taking the trash out, I heard like a crack, like a limb break, and not just like a twig, it was like a big limb broke. So I turned around and looked, and I didn't see anything, so I felt like it was staring at me, I was staring at it, and I'm like, okay. He said, so then I just shut the trash can, go back in the house, and then I hear like a scream, like a woman scream, and it wasn't like an animal that sounds like a woman. He said it was like definitely a woman screaming, and it was coming from the house that's beside him that's like abandoned. So he turned around, he said, and I was like, okay, this is it. So he turns back around again, and then another limb broke, like another big limb like broke off. So he got his phone out and started recording, and he did record, but there wasn't anything on the recording, and he doesn't want me to show it because it shows like his neighbor's house, but there was nothing on the recording. But what do you think it was? Do you think that thing is back? Do you think it was just like an animal? Was it a skinwalker? Was it a rake? Was it a wendigo? Was it that cat man thing? What was it this time?